Our Creator made me see Him 8 times. To learn what I know will take your belief to a trust. The first video in my description lets the male know they have a soul when they visit the abyss and have a self-proof of afterlife. As you can see by the title, I'm going to continue on with the Psalms here. So let me start with Psalms 2. Let's see, how's that set up? And I need to get the text quite large here so you can see it a little bit more. I think that's about the right size. And then try to center it in the text here in the window for you to see. Okay, this is Psalms 2, and I'm just going to get into it and start editing because we don't need the word the here. Okay, and we don't need the word the here and the word the here. Okay, why are nations, okay, well, let me do this too. Let me copy this and then move down here, place it here. And what I'm going to do quickly here is I'm going to remove all the text. This needs to be replaced. This needs to be, let's see, no format here. I want 8-point here. And now I can get rid of, I guess I see if I can highlight it here and say replace all. Nope, took it out from up above. Anyway, let me re-put that back up here then. Just for the record, okay. Now, so I don't keep going back farther than I need to, let me do a little bit of this. And is the mic close enough to my mouth where you can hear me mumbling instead of talking so loud? Sorry about that, but the object here is I'm going to try to speak loud enough, but when my thought process starts going, I might start mumbling on you. Why are the kings in an uproar and the peoples devising a vain thing? The kings of earth have taken their stand, and the rulers take counsel against YHVH and against his anointed, saying, let us tear their fritters apart and cast their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens laughs, and YHVH scoffs at him. YHVH scoffs at them. Then he'll speak to them in his anger and terrify them with his fury. We better make sure that they know that this is our Creator here. But as for me, I have installed my king. Okay, now this is just wrong. He will speak to them in his fury and terrify them, speak to them in his anger and terrify them in his anger by saying, I have installed not our Creator's king, but your king upon Zion, my holy mountain. Now, Jesus never ruled as a king on earth. Therefore, this verse here, you have to understand, where is our Creator's holy mountain? Okay. In the description below, I tell you where heaven is located, and there's only 2 Bibles that actually have those words for us. And actually, the second Bible actually copied word for word from the New American Standard Bible. When you open up the New American Standard Bible, I am using the 1977 if you want the exact words that I'm using here. But in Psalms 48, verse 2, the words are north, the far north is where Mount Zion is. And the far north is the second heaven. The first heaven is where our birds fly. The second heaven is the stars. So the far north is the North Star. And as the motions of the stars move, when we observe them on Earth by Earth's rotating, we see this mountain formed or the shape of a mountain in the second heaven. And then above the second heaven is where our Creator is looking down from heaven. So this here has to be, I have given your king a kingdom. And it would be above Zion, my holy mountain. Okay, now you understand why I can correct those words, because we know Jesus' kingdom is in heaven, and our Creator is going to give our Jesus a kingdom in heaven. So it has to be above Zion, my holy mountain. Okay, pretty easy once you understand where heaven is at. But just remember, your King James doesn't teach you where heaven is at. I will surely tell the promises, or he, not you, he, don't need the word surely. He will tell of the promises. Now, you cannot enter into heaven unless you understand our Creator's everlasting covenant / promises. That's why I use the word promises. When you look at our Creator speaking through the prophets over many centuries, they are a buildup of promises, because it starts with Abraham. And let me show you that picture if I can, because it's unique to see that how in the Gospels where they talk about our father Abraham and how everything's been promised from Abraham. Boy, this is screwed up. Sorry about that. I thought I would have them a little bit more in order, but I don't. Here. Now this is unique because this here is Genesis 17:6, Genesis 18, and Genesis 22. What we're going to do is put these together. Our Creator is talking to Abraham and telling him he's going to be make nations of you, and kings shall come forth from you. Okay. Actually, he's talking about Jacob, who is in Israel. That's one kingdom and one nation. And then Esau has a nation called Edom. And there was kings up until the time of David. David went in and cleaned them all out, and there was no kings mentioned of Edom after that. But the object is that when we look at this next grouping here, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's about the kings, okay? And it's talking about all nations of the earth will be blessed. Well, when you come down here and you see in your seed, all nations of the earth shall be blessed because you have obeyed my voice. Now, these three verses, okay, are put together and show the first teaching of Jesus, because through his everlasting promises, he knows that that Jerusalem has disappeared, has become pagan, and don't follow our Creator. That's why he sent the two kingdoms into captivity, and then why he brought them back, and there is no king, Israeli king over the promised land at the time Jesus walks on the earth. But the object is his promise down here of your seed, just as he promised David through Nathaniel, that he told David that through your son's son will become a king, and he will enter into heaven and have his kingdom in heaven. Okay, and then this is why people will enter into heaven, by understanding our Creator's promises. And those who are Trinitarian right now, I please want you to watch the video in the description below, because Jesus defines what is Holy Spirit, and Holy Spirit is our Creator's breath. So you don't have three. You have our Creator, his breath is with him, and you have Jesus. Jesus defines what is Holy Spirit. And I give you the 4 verses. I give you a long little speech about how Jesus defines it by using other verses. But the object here is from way back here, we now know that Jesus was talked about. And then we can go to the text here, and keep up with the promises that he made, because the promise from David is actually of the king in heaven, and you have to have his everlasting promises for you to understand that that is why people are going to enter into heaven. And I'll tell you of his promises, YV. He said to me, said to him, "Thou art my son today, I have begotten thee. Ask of me, and I'll surely give you the nations as thy inheritance." Now this is that promise I just showed you. Okay, from all nations will be blessed. He's given the people from the nations. Not ask of me, and I will. No, the promise is, these here words really don't need to be there to be truthful, but it will be he as Jesus. Do I still have that? Okay. Oh, it makes it 12 point. Okay. Anyways, ask of me and he will surely give. Whoops, no, this is talking about our Creator. Ask of me and he will surely give. Don't need the word surely. Give people from all nations as my inheritance, as his inheritance, which is the truth. Well, let's make this as the first writers knew what they were talking about. And the very to the very ends of it. There's no ends. To the very end of the earth. To the very end of man and earth as his possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod, and shall set them. Well, it's actually he will. Let's do this right here. He will break them with a rod. He will beat them with a rod of iron, and will Earthenware would be potterware. No, it would be now you kings. Now you kings will show discernment. Discernment and take and or now you kings show. This word is really judgment. Okay, to understand what the words are talking about here. Now you kings should give true judgments and you judges of earth, judges on earth. Boy, I'm just going to have to skip through this a little bit here, not try to correct every word. Sorry, it just bothers me that how not truthful every word is being put into the text here. And this is why I'm showing that the secular people are editing the text. You can go to my 1611 preface video and get a big wake-up call. Reverence and rejoice. I'm trying just to divide these up. Least you become arrogant and you will perish. Perish from his ways, meaning his teachings, or his wrath will be kindled. How blessed are those? How blessed are all who take refuge in him. Okay. That was a quick cutting up. So let's take them and look at them again here. Let's see if we can make more sense. Why are nations in an uproar and their people devising vain things? The kings of the earth for the kings of the earth have taken their stand, and their rulers, meaning the kings have people underneath them governing as well, so those are the rulers, and their rulers have counseled against YV and against his anointed, saying, I think I erased the word let's when I did that. Let us tear. Yeah, saying, let us tear their fritters apart and cast away their cords from us. He who sits, well, wait a second. This needs to be separated here, because these verses here are speaking together as one kind of like paragraph. But this one here needs to be removed. And then we have 2, 2, 2, 2. And then I guess it would need his, because we are only talking about YHVH'S promises here. So now we have 3 verse, 3 verse, 3 verse as a subject. He who sits in heavens, well, it's not heavens, it's our Creator's heaven. I guess he who rules from heaven. Rules from heaven laughs, and then YHVH will scuffs at them. I don't like the word scuffs, but we're looking for formats. Then he will speak to them in his anger. This is our Creator, so let's do this and terrify them. No, he will speak to them in his anger and terrify them in his fury by saying, I have given your king a kingdom above Zion, my holy mountain. Okay, he will promise. Well, look at that. That's another 3 verse group. Okay, that looks good. That's another 3 verse group. Sorry about that. Let's see if I'm actually recording. Okay, 21 minutes into this one. Now let's see what we find here. He will tell of the promises from YHVH. He said to him, you are my son today. Now, I want to speak up about this, why he's saying son. That's because what we find here is to relate to those on earth, a king's son sits at his right hand. And we know in the Psalms, David is going to tell us that from his son's seed will become a king forever, and he will sit at his right hand. That is the showing the relationship from the earthly to our Creator as our Creator's son. We're all, males are all sons from our Creator, all women are daughters from our Creator. I have begotten thee, ask from me, and he will give peoples from all the nations as his inheritance. Ask from me. I don't know, I guess what I'm seeing here, when I'm just reading quickly through, is this, if I'm looking for 3 verses that hook together, I can see that these 3 he will beat them with a rod of iron, he will shatter them like an earthenware. Now you kings should give true judgments and take warnings, judges on earth. Worship YHVH with reverence and rejoice with trembling. Okay, those 3. So what I've got here is, where are these 3? He will tell the promises from YHVH. He will say to him, you are my son today. I have begotten thee. Ask from me, and I'll give you from people. I will give you people from every nation as his inheritance to the very end of man on earth as his possession. I guess I could divide that up a little bit differently. I have begotten thee, which means he made him the Creator, or made him our king in heaven. As from me, he will give the people from all nations as his inheritance to the very end of the earth. Okay, I need to get rid of that text there because we're already saying that here. As in his inheritance. Okay, now let me see if I can find 3 verses here. We just do homage to his son, lest he become angry. Well, I can do this. Perish from his way, for his wrath will be kindled. Blessed. Ta-da! There we go. Now, let me copy all these and see where we go from. And let me see what happens when I get it on the screen for you to be able to see. And we'll get rid of that. And then we have this separating, and then this being separated, and then this being separated. Let me see if I can make this work right here so it gets larger on the text. Let me see. I'm looking to see how to put them into the layout. Yeah, put it into columns, 2 columns. Okay, now that I can blow that up a little bit so you can read it. Get me out of the way. Now you can see that there is this format, but it's kind of hard to see. But you can see that there's 2 verses to make. Well, what I'm saying is you got 1 verse here and 1 verse here and then 1 verse here. Oh, that is part of it. So this is 1 verse, this is 1 verse, this is 1 verse, this is 1 verse, and we have 3 of these that actually make a larger paragraph. Well, let me see something here on the layout. Let me see. Let's make it 9 inches wide. Layout. I'm thinking there's a way to shorten up the what did I just do? I guess I gotta highlight them. Guess I gotta highlight all this and now do a, wait a second, all of it. Need to do all of it. Trying to sneak it in here to get it all on the 1 page and actually larger. Okay. Now the sentence become, there we go. Whoops, I got the word nation over here. I guess next I need to make them all 10 point, I guess. I'm trying to do this so it becomes beautiful. Okay. There they are. Okay, now can I enlarge them? They aren't all there together when I do that. That's about the best I can get there. Sorry about that. Okay, now you can see that they're grouped together. And this would be 1 format if I went like this and straightened this out a little bit. So I only had 2 in between each one of them, or no, 1 in between each of them. But this would be 1 format. This would be a 2nd format. And there you have it. This would be Psalms 3. How you like that? Now that does need a lot of cleaning up yet, but the object is, as I just showed you, the hidden format of Psalms 3. I think that's just unique to show you that the first writers actually had their own style, and you can see that they had a very highly involved way of saying things, because these words I can talk about inside here of a lot of understanding that needs to be said when you correct the text itself. You have to have a lot of understanding how the first writers would write, but they would be writing it in the first person. But I just think that that's beautiful there like that. And now that will be Psalms 3. And then maybe later someday I'm going to, well, I already have. I own the copyright psalm and I really clean them up. But I just want to go through and show you that how the formats can be found. And maybe you want to take them the next step and show how correct you can and truthful you can make each of these verses by your knowledge that our Creator give to you. Each person is going to have their own knowledge by how close or how obedient your righteousness has been to our Creator to be able to correct the text. Other than that, I guess batteries are getting low. I'm going to have to call it quits until they charge up, but on to the next Psalms.